see here. Jeff's got 38 to 43. Alrighty. So, here we go. Okay. All right, we're live, everyone. We're back. Brother Dennis is going to be reading Jeremiah 32 to 37 for us. I'll be muting myself so you guys can hear him.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. See. Let's see. The word came to Tamiyahu from Yahuwah in the 10th year of Zedekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, which was the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar. Now at that time, the army of the sovereign of Babel besieged Jerusalem, and Yirmiyahu, the prophet, was shut up in the court of the guard, which was the house of the sovereign of Yehudah. For Zedekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, had shut him up, saying, "Why are you prophesying, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, see, I am giving this city into the hand of the sovereign of Babel, and he shall take it. And Zedekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, shall not escape from the hand of the Chaldeans, but certainly be given into the hand of the sovereign of Babel, and shall speak with him face to face, and see him eye to eye. And he shall lead Zedekiah to Babel, and be there until I visit him, declares Yahuwah. Though you fight with the Chaldeans, you shall not prosper." And Yirmiyahu said, "The word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, See, Hanamael, son of Shalom, your uncle, is coming to you, saying, Buy my field which is in Anathoth, for the right of redemption is yours to buy it." So Hanamael, my uncle's son, came to me in the court of the guard, according to the word of Yahuwah, and said to me, "Please buy my field that is in Anathoth, which is in the land of Benjamin, for the right of inheritance is yours, and the redemption. Buy it for yourself." And I knew that this was the word of Yahuwah. And I bought the land, which was at Anathoth, from Hanamael, my uncle's son, and weighed out to him the silver, 17 shekels of silver. And I signed the deed and sealed it, took witnesses, and weighed the silver in the scales. Then I took the deed of purchase, that which was sealed according to the command and law, and that which was open, and I gave the deed of purchase to Baruch, son of Neriah, son of Mahashiah, in the presence of Hananiel, my uncle's son, and in the presence of the witnesses who signed the deed of purchase, before all the Yehudim who sat in the court of the guard. And I commanded Baruch before their eyes, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yisrael, take these deeds, both this deed of purchase, which is sealed, and this deed which is open, and put them in an earthen vessel, so that they remain many days. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yisrael, houses and fields and vineyards shall again be bought in this land. And after I had given the deed of purchase to Baruch, son of Neriah, I prayed to Yahuwah, saying, Oh, Master Yahuwah, see, you have made the Shemayim and Haaretz, earth, by your great power and outstretched arm. there is no matter too hard for you, who show kindness to thousands, and repay the crookedness of the fathers into the bosom of their children after them. The great, the mighty Allah Yahuwah of hosts is his name. Great in counsel and mighty to work, for your eyes are open to all the ways of the sons of men, to give everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his deeds. For you have set signs and wonders in the land of Mitzrayim to this day, and in Yisrael and among other men. And you have made yourself a name, as it is this day. And you have brought your people, Yisrael, out of the land of Mitzrayim, with signs and wonders, with a strong hand and an outstretched arm, and with great fearsome deeds. And you gave them this land, of which you swore to their fathers to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey. And they came in and possessed it, but they did not obey your voice, nor did they walk in your Torah. They did not do all that you commanded them to do. So you brought all this evil upon them. So you besieged mounds. They have come to the city to take it, and the city has been given into the hand of the Chaldeans, who fought against it, because of the sword and the scarcity of food and the pestilence. And what you have spoken has come about, and look, you see it. Yet you, O Master Yahuwah, have said to me, buy the field for silver and take witnesses, although the city has been given into the land of the Chaldeans. Then the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah, saying, see, I am Yahuwah, the Elohim of all flesh. Is there any matter too hard for me? Therefore, thus said Yahuwah, see, I am giving this city into the hand of the Chaldeans, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, and he shall take it. And the Chaldeans who fight against this city shall come and set fire to this city and burn it, with the houses on whose roofs they burned incense to Baal, and poured out drink offerings to other mighty ones to provoke me. For the children of Yisrael and the children of Yehudah have done only evil before me from their youth. For the children of Yisrael have only provoked me with the work of their hands, declares Yahuwah. For this city has been a cause for my displeasure, and my wrath from the day that they built it, even to this day that I should remove it from before my face. Because of all the evil of the children of Yisrael and the children of Yehudah, which they have done to provoke me, they, their sovereigns, their heads, their priests, their prophets, and the men of Yehudah, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And they have turned their back to me, and not their face. Though I taught them, raising up early and teaching them, they did not listen to receive instruction. And they set their abominations in the house which I call by my name to defile it. And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, who offer up their sons and their daughters to Molech, which I did not command them, nor did it come into my heart that they should do this abomination to make Yehudah sin. And now, thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yisrael, concerning the city of which you say, it shall be given into the hand of the sovereign of Babel by the sword, and by scarcity of food, and by pestilence. See, I am gathering them out of the lands which I have driven them in my displeasure, and in my wrath, and in a great rage. And I shall bring them back to this place, and shall let them dwell in safety. And they shall be my people, and I shall be their Elohim. And I shall give them one heart, in one way, to fear me all the days for the two of them and of their children after them. And I shall make an everlasting covenant with them, that do not turn back from doing so to them. And I shall put my fear in their hearts, so as not to turn aside from me. And I shall rejoice over them to do tov to them, and shall plant them in this land in truth, with all my heart and with all my being. Thus said Yahuwah, as I have brought all this great evil on this people, so I am bringing on them all the tube that I am speaking to them. And fields shall be brought in this land, of which you are saying, is it a wasteland without men or beasts? It has been given into the hands of the Chaldeans. Fields shall be bought for silver, and deeds signed and sealed, and witnesses be called in the land of Benjamin, and in the places around Jerusalem, and in the cities of Yehudah, and in the cities of the mountains, and in the cities of the low country, and in the cities of the south. For I shall turn back their captivity, declares Yahuwah. 33. And the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu a second time, while he was still shut up in the court of the guard, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, who made it, Yahuwah, who formed it to establish it. Yahuwah is his name. Call unto me, and I shall answer you, and show you great and inaccessible matters which you have not known. For thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yisrael, concerning the house of this city and the houses of the sovereigns of Yehudah, which are thrown down against the siege mounds and the sword, while coming to fight with the Chaldeans, and to fill their places with the corpses of men, whom I shall slay in my displeasure and my wrath. All of those evil I have hidden my face from this city. See, I am bringing to it relief and healing, and I shall heal them, restore them, and reveal to them the riches of peace and truth. And I shall turn back the captivity of Yehudah and the captivity of Yisrael, and shall build them as at the first, and shall cleanse them from all their crookedness, that they have sinned against me. And I shall pardon all their crookedness, that they have sinned, and by which they have transgressed against me. And it shall be to me a name of joy, a praise, and a pride before all nations of the earth, who hear all the tov I am doing to them. And they shall fear and tremble for all the tovness and all the peace I am doing to it. Thus said Yahuwah, in this place of which you say it is dried up, without men and without beast, in the cities of Yehudah, in the streets of Jerusalem that are deserted, without men and without inhabitant and without beast, there shall once again be heard the voice of joy and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the voice of those who are saying, Praise Yahuwah of hosts, for Yahuwah is Tov, for his kindness is forever, of those who are bringing the offerings of praise into the house of Yahuwah. For I shall turn back the captivity of the land as at the first, declares Yahuwah. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, in this place which is dried up, without men and without beast, and in all its cities, there shall once again be a home of shepherds causing their flocks to lie down. In the cities of the mountains, in the cities of the low country, and in the cities of the south, and in the land of Benjamin, and in the places around Jerusalem, and in the cities of Yehudah, the flocks once again pass under the hands of him who counts them, declares Yahuwah. See, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I shall establish the Tov word which I have promised to the house of Yisrael and to the house of Yehudah. In those days, and at the time, I caused a branch of righteousness to spring forth for David, and he shall do right ruling and righteousness on Haaretz, the earth. In those days, Yahuwah shall be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell in safety. And this is that which shall be proclaimed to her, Yahuwah of our righteousness. And for this, said Yahuwah, for David, there is not to cease a man to sit on the throne of the house of Yisrael. And for the priests, the Levites, there is not to cease a man to offer burnt offerings before me, to kindle grain offerings, and to slaughter continually. And the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu, saying, thus said Yahuwah, if you could break my covenant with the day and my covenant with the night, so that there is not day and night in their season, then my covenant shall also be broken with David my servant, so that he shall not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my attendants. As the host of Shemayim is not counted, nor the sand of the sea measured, so I increased the descendants of David my servant, and the Levites who attend upon me. And the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu, saying, have you not observed that what those people have spoken, saying, the two clans which Yahuwah has chosen have been rejected by him? For they have despised my people, no more to be a nation before them. Thus said Yahuwah, if my covenant is not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the laws of the Shemayim and Haaretz, then I would also reject the descendants of Jacob and David my servant, so that I should not take of his descendants to be rulers over the descendants of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, for I shall turn back their captivity and have compassion on them. 34. The word which came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah, when Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, and all his army, and all the reigns of the Haaretz, the earth, under his rule, and all the people fought against Jerusalem and all its cities, saying, thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yisrael, go and speak to Zedekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, and say to him, thus said Yahuwah, see, I am giving this city into the land of the sovereign of Babel, and he shall burn it with fire. And you shall not escape out of his hand, but certainly be taken and given into his hand. And your eyes shall see the eyes of the sovereign of Babel, and his mouth shall speak with your mouth, and you shall go to Babel. But hear the word of Yahuwah, O Zedekiah, sovereign of Yehudah. Thus said Yahuwah concerning you, you shall not die by the sword. In the peace you are to die. And as in the burnings of spices for your fathers, the former sovereigns who were before you, so they shall burn spices for you and lament for you, saying, alas, master, for I have spoken the word, declares Yahuwah. And Yirmiyahu the prophet spoke all these words to Zedekiah, the sovereign of Yehudah in Jerusalem. While the sovereign of Babel's army was fighting against Jerusalem and all the cities of Yehudah that were left against Lachish and Ezekah, for only these walled cities remained of the cities of Yehudah. The word which came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah, after sovereign Zedekiah had made a covenant with all the people who were at Jerusalem to proclaim release to them, that everyone was to set free his male and female slave, the Hebrew man and the Hebrew woman. No one was to keep a Yehudite, his brother, enslaved. And when all the heads and all the people who had come into the covenant heard that each one was to set free his male and female slaves, and not keep them enslaved any longer, they obeyed and released them. But afterward they changed their minds and made the male and female slaves return, whom they had set free, and brought them into subjection as male and female slaves. Therefore the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, the Alim of Yisrael, I myself made a covenant with your fathers in the day that I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim and out of the house of bondage, saying, At the end of 7 years, each one should set free his Hebrew brother, who has been sold to him, and when he has served you 6 years, you shall let him go free from you. But your fathers did not obey me, nor incline their ear. And you recently turned and did what was right in my eyes, each man proclaiming release to his neighbor, and you made a covenant before me in the house which I called by my name. But you turned back and profaned my name. And each one of you took back his male and female slaves, whom he had set free, at their pleasure, and brought them into subjection, to be your male and female slaves. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah, you have not obeyed me in proclaiming release, each one to his brother and each one to his neighbor. See, I am proclaiming release to you, declares Yahuwah, to the sword be pestilence, and to the scarcity of food, and I shall make you a horror to all reigns of the earth. And I shall give the men who are transgressing my covenant, who have not established the words of the covenant which they made before me, when they cut the calf in two and passed between the parts of it, the heads of Yehudah and the heads of Jerusalem, the eunuchs and the priests, and all the people of the land who passed between the parts of the calf. And I shall give them into the land of their enemies, and into the land of those who seek their life. And their corpses shall be for food to the birds of the Shemayim and the beasts of the earth. And I shall give Zedekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, and his head into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those who seek their life, and into the hand of the sovereign of Babel's army that has withdrawn from you. See, I am commanding, declares Yahuwah, and shall bring them back to this city, and they shall fight against it, and take it, and burn it with fire. And I shall make the cities of Yehudah a ruin without habitation. 35. The word which came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah in the days of Jehoiakim, son of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, saying, Go to the house of the Rechabites, and you shall speak to them, and bring them into the house of Yahuwah, into one of the rooms, and give them wine to drink. And I took Yahna, the son of Yirmiyahu, the son of Abatsiah, and his brothers, and all his sons, and all the house of the Rechabites, and brought them into the house of Yahuwah, into the room of the sons of Hanan, son of Yigdaliyahu, a man of Yahuwah, which was by the chamber of the heads, above the room of Masayahu, son of Shalom, the keeper of the door. And I set before the sons of the house of the Rechabites bowls filled with wine and cups, and said to them, Drink wine. But they said, We do not drink wine, because Yonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, commanded us, saying, You shall not drink wine, neither you nor your sons forever. And do not build a house, neither sow seed, nor plant a vineyard, nor have any of these, but dwell in tents all your days, so that you live many days on the face of the land where you are sojourners. So we obeyed the voice of Yonadab, son of Rechab, our father, in all that he commanded us, to drink no wine all our days, we, our wives, our sons, and our daughters. nor to build ourselves houses to dwell in. And we have no vineyard, field, or seed, but we dwell in tents and have obeyed and done according to all that Jonadab our father commanded us. And it came to be, when Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, came up into the land, and that we said, Come, let us go to Jerusalem, for fear of the army of the Chaldeans, and for fear of the army of the Arameans, so we dwell at Jerusalem. And the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yisrael, Go, and you shall say to the men of Yehudah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, Have you not received instruction to obey my words, declares Yahuwah? The words of Jonadab, son of Rechab, which he commanded his sons, not to drink wine, are established, and they have not drunk unto this day, for they have obeyed their father's command. And as for me, I have spoken to you, rising early and speaking, but you have not obeyed me. And I sent to you all my servants, the prophets, rising up early and sending them, saying, Turn each one from his evil way, and make Tob your deeds, and do not go after other mighty ones to serve them, and you shall dwell in the land which I have given you and your fathers. But you have not inclined your ear, not obeyed me. The sons of Jonadab, son of Rechab, have indeed carried out the command of their father, which he commanded them, but this people has not obeyed me. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah, Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Yisrael. See, I am bringing on Yehudah and on all the inhabitants of Jerusalem all the evil that I have pronounced against them, because I have spoken to them, but they did not listen, and I have called to them, but they did not answer. And Yirmiyahu said in the house of the Rechabites, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yisrael, because you have obeyed the command of Jonadab, your father, and guarded all his commands, and done according to all that he commanded you. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Yisrael, of Jonadab, son of Rechab, there shall never cease to be a man to stand before me. 36. And it came to be in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, son of Yeshayahu, sovereign of Yehudah, that this word came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah, saying, Take a scroll and write on it all the words that I have spoken to you against Yisrael and against Yehudah and against all the nations from the day I spoke to you, from the days of Yeshayahu even to this day. It could be that the house of Yehudah hears all the evil which I plan to bring upon them, so that each one turns back from his evil way, and I shall pardon their crookedness and their sin. And Yirmiyahu called Baruch, son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote on the scroll from the mouth of Yirmiyahu all the words of Yahuwah which he had spoken to him. And Yirmiyahu commanded Baruch, saying, I am shut up. I am unable to enter the house of Yahuwah. But you shall enter, and shall read from the scroll which you have written from my mouth the words of Yahuwah in the hearing of the people in the house of Yahuwah on the day of fasting, and also read them in the hearing of all Yehudah who come from their cities. It could be they present their supplication before Yahuwah, and they turn back, each one from his evil way, for great is the displeasure and the wrath that Yahuwah has spoken against his people. And Baruch, son of Neriah, did according to all that Yirmiyahu the prophet commanded him, reading from the book the words of Yahuwah in the house of Yahuwah. And it came to be in the 5th year of Jehoiakim, son of Yeshayahu, sovereign of Yehudah, in the 9th month, that they called a fast before Yahuwah to all the people in Jerusalem and to all the people who came from the cities of Yehudah to Jerusalem. And Baruch read from the book the words of Yirmiyahu in the house of Yahuwah, in the room of Jehoiakim, son of Shaphan, the scribe, in the upper courtyard at the entry to the new gate of the house of Yahuwah, in the hearing of all the people. And Micaiah, son of Jehoiakim, son of Shaphan, heard all the words of Yahuwah from the book. And then he went down to the sovereign's house into the scribe's room, and there all the heads were sitting. Elishama, the scribe, and Deliyahu, son of Tamiyahu, Elnathan, son of Akbor, and Jehoiakim, son of Shaphan, and Zedekiah, son of Hananiah, and all the heads. And Micaiah told them all the words which he heard when Baruch read the book in the hearing of the people. Then all the heads sent Yehudah, son of Nathaniah, son of Shalemiyahu, son of Cushai, to Baruch, saying, Take your hand and the scroll from which you have read in the hearing of the people, and come. So Baruch, son of Neriah, took the scroll in his hand and came to them. And they said to him, Sit down, please, and read it in our hearing. Then Baruch read it in their hearing. And it came to be, when they had heard all the words, that they looked at each other in fear, and said to Baruch, We are certainly going to report all these words to the sovereign. And they asked Baruch, saying, Please explain to us, how did you write all these words? From his mouth? And Baruch answered them, From his mouth he spoke all these words to me, and I wrote them with ink in the book. Then the heads said to Baruch, Go, hide, you and Yirmiyahu, and let no one know where you are. And they went to the sovereign and to the court, but they put the scroll in the room of Elishama, the scribe, and told all the words in the hearing of the sovereign. The sovereign therefore sent Yehudah to bring the scroll, and he took it from the room to Elishama, the scribe. And Yehudah read it in the hearing of the sovereign, and in the hearing of all the heads standing beside the sovereign. And the sovereign was sitting in the winter house in the 9th month, with a fire burning in the hearth before him. And it came to be, when Yehudah had read 3 or 4 columns, that the sovereign cut it with the scribe's knife and threw it into the fire that was on the earth, until the entire scroll was burned in the fire that was on the hearth. Yet the sovereign and all his servants who heard all these words were not afraid, nor did they tear their garments. Moreover, Elnathan and Deliyahu and Jehoiakim pleaded with the sovereign not to burn the scroll, but he did not listen to them. And the sovereign commanded Jeremiah, son of the sovereign, and Sarayahu, son of Azariel, and Shalemiyahu, son of Abdiel, to seize Baruch, the scribe, and Yirmiyahu, the prophet. But Yahweh had hid them. And after the sovereign had burned the scroll with the words which Baruch had written from the mouth of Yirmiyahu, the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu, saying, Take another scroll, and write on it all the former words that were in the first scroll, which Jehoiakim, the sovereign of Yehudah, had burned. And say to Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, thus says Yahuwah, You have burned the scroll, saying, Why have you written in it that the sovereign of Babel is certainly coming to destroy this land and cause man and beast to cease from here. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah concerning Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehuda, he shall have no one to sit on the throne of David, and his dead body is to be thrown out to the heat of the day and the frost of the night. And I shall punish him and his seed and his servants for their crookedness, and I shall bring on them and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and on the men of Yehuda, all the evil I have spoken against them, but they did not listen. So Yirmiyahu took another scroll and gave it to Baruch the scribe, son of Neriyahu, who wrote on it from the mouth of Yirmiyahu all the words of the sovereign which Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehuda, had burned in the fire, and many similar words were added to them. 37. And sovereign Zedekiah, son of Yoshiyahu, signed, reigned instead of Tamiyahu, son of Jehoiakim, whom Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, set up to reign in the land of Yehuda. But neither he nor his servants nor the people of the land had listened to the words of Yahuwah, which he spoke by the prophet Yirmiyahu. And Zedekiah, the sovereign, sent Jehukal, son of Shalomyah, and the priest Zephaniah, son of Maaseiah, to the prophet Yirmiyahu, saying, please pray to Yahuwah our Elohim for us. Now Yirmiyahu was still coming and going among the people, for they had not yet put him in prison. Meanwhile, Pharaoh's army had set out from Mitzrayim, and when the Chaldeans, who were besieging Jerusalem, heard news of them, they withdrew from Jerusalem. And the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu the prophet, saying, thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yisrael, say this to the sovereign of Yehuda, who sent you to me to inquire of me. See, Pharaoh's army, which has come up to help you, shall turn back to Mitzrayim, to their own land. And the Chaldeans shall return and fight against this city, and take it and burn it with fire. Thus said Yahuwah, do not deceive yourself, saying, the Chaldeans shall go away from us, for they do not go. For though you had smitten the entire army of the Chaldeans who were fighting against you, and there remained only wounded men among them, they would get up, each man in his tent, and burn the city with fire. And it came to be, when the army of the Chaldeans left the siege of Jerusalem for fear of Pharaoh's army, that Yirmiyahu went out of Jerusalem to go into the land of Benjamin to receive his portion there in the midst of the people. And it came to be, as he was in the gate of Benjamin, a master of the guard was there, whose name was Uriah, son of Shelemiah, son of Hananiah, and he seized Yirmiyahu, the prophet, saying, you are deserting to the Chaldeans. But Yirmiyahu said, it is a lie. I am not deserting to the Chaldeans. But he did not listen to him, and Uriah seized Yirmiyahu and brought him to the heads. And the heads were wroth with Yirmiyahu, and smote him, and put him in prison in the house of Jonathan, the scribe, for they had made that for a prison. When Yirmiyahu had entered into the dungeon and into the cells, then Yirmiyahu remained there many days. And Zedekiah, the sovereign, sent and took him out, and the sovereign asking him secretly in his house, and said, is there any word from Yahuwah? And Yirmiyahu said, there is. And he said, you are given into the land of the sovereign of Babel. And Yirmiyahu said to Zedekiah, the sovereign, what have I sinned against you and against your servants and against this people, that you have put me into prison? Where are your prophets who prophesied to you, saying, The sovereign is Babel is not coming against you or against this land. But now, please hear, O my master, the sovereign, please let my petition be accepted before you, and do not make me return to the house of Jehoiakim, the scribe, lest I die there. Zedekiah, the sovereign, then gave orders for Yirmiyahu to be placed in the court of the guard, and that they should give him daily a piece of bread from the baker's street until all the bread in the city was gone. For Yirmiyahu remained in the court of the guard. That's 37.
All right, great job, Brother Dennis. So let's see here, seeing if there's anything to take note of. I did have a couple of references I took note of in the Septuagint, and for those that were reading from a physical Septuagint, I apologize. I should have told you ahead of time. The chapter numberings are a little off. 32 in the Masoretic would have been 39 in the Septuagint. So as Dennis was reading these 5 chapters, basically you would have 39, 40, 41, 42, 43 in the Septuagint would be 32 to 37 in the Masoretic. So just to actually 44 would be the last chapter from this reading in the Septuagint versus the Masoretic. So chapter 44 is 37 in the Masoretic, 43 is 36, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to explain that. Anyone that has physical Septuagints like me, I had to look at my footnotes just to figure that out when Brother Dennis was starting to read. So I don't know if the Bretons fixed it in Brother Jeff's Bretons, but just in case, that's the difference in the chapter numberings. So if they left it the way it is, Brother Jeff's reading would start in chapter 45 of the Septuagint and would go, let's see here, 43, so that would be 45, 46, 47, and then you got 48, which would be 41 in the Masoretic, 49, and 50. So before I turn over to Brother Jeff, I did have some notes though for this portion that Brother Dennis just read. Let's see if we could go back here. Chapter 39 of the Septuagint, which was 32 of the Masoretic. Verse 17 I thought was pretty interesting. It says, "Oh, you who hold on, the way it's worded is weird here. Oh, Yahuwah, you who have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and your high and elevated arm." So again, that's talking about Yahusha. By Yahusha, he made the heavens and the earth. "Nothing is hidden from you." So I thought that was a pretty cool verse to jot down just for future reference, that by his right arm, he created the heavens and the earth. Let me see here. I also got verse 18 written down here. "Who do mercy to thousands and repay the sins of the fathers to the bosoms of their children after them. Great, mighty Elohim." So we can find this concept in verse 18 here in Exodus 20 pretty much, that he's going to repay the sins of the fathers to their children, vice versa. Then you have, let's see, verse 40 of this same chapter. I wrote down, let's see here, it says, "And I will establish an everlasting covenant with them, which I shall not turn away from them, and I will put my fear into their heart in order that they do not depart from me. And I will visit them to do Tob, and I will plant them in this land." I like how the Septuagint says, it makes it very specific what land he's talking about. This land, the land of Israel, in trustworthiness with all my heart and with all my soul, because this is what Yahuwah has said. Just as I have brought all these great calamities upon this people, so I myself will bring upon them all the toad things that I have spoken upon them. And obviously this is future. He did not bring those people to the land in 1948. He had nothing to do with that. So this is obviously future. This is obviously future when he's going to bring the northern house and the southern house back into the land. This hasn't happened yet. So I just wanted to mention that in chapter 32, if you have a Masoretic Bible, it would be 32 verse 40. For us that have a physical Septuagint, it would be 39 verse 40. Okay, so all right. Okay, so let's see here. 33 verse 2, which is 40 verse 2 in the Septuagint. This is what Yahuwah said, who makes the earth and forms it to establish it. Yahuwah is his name. Thought that was important to note that Jeremiah is starting off by saying Yahuwah is the Father's name, making it very clear what his name is, and the fact that Yahuwah is the one that forms and establishes the earth. So I thought that was important to make a note of. So 33 verse 7, which would be again chapter 40 verse 7 in the Septuagint. Again, it mentions Yahuwah planting his people in the land again, that he's going to do it. So verse 7 of 33, and I will return the exile of Judah and the exile of Israel, and I will build them just as also the former times. So this is talking about a regathering of two houses at the same time. This is not referring to post-Babylonian captivity. This is referring to taking all of his people, all 12 tribes, and putting them back into the land in context. Okay, so that has not happened yet. And the reason we know it hasn't happened yet, because if you continue to verse 8 here, it says, and I will cleanse them from all their unrighteousnesses that they sinned against me, and I shall not remember their sins, shall not remember their sins, with which they sinned against me and withdrew from me. So again, this sounds all future to me. This has not happened yet. So let's see here, verse 11. Okay, a sound of cheer and a sound of gladness, a voice of a bridegroom and the voice of a bride. Sounds very similar to Revelations there. A voice saying, acknowledge Yahuwah Almighty, because Yahuwah is precious, because his mercy is for eternity. And they will bring gifts to the house of Yahuwah. So what I really liked about this verse 11 in chapter 33 of the Masoretic, chapter 40 of the Septuagint, verse 11 here is showing that there's going to be sacrifices brought into his temple again, his house. Okay, obviously that's a future millennial context. Okay, so I thought that was pretty interesting. I never remember seeing that one before. So I think that's it for my notes. I didn't have anything for the last couple of chapters Brother Dennis read. So we are now up to chapter 38, which Brother Jeff is going to read for us. And just for those, like I said before, the number difference will be 45 in the Septuagint, 38 in the Masoretic. Just to give a heads up. So, Brother Jeff, whenever you're ready, I'm going to give you the floor.
How's my audio? Are you
Perfect.
okay? Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay,
yeah.
good. 'Cause I'm 3 feet from the microphone, so I just want to check. Okay, so I'm going to start in 38 in Jeremiah, and I am reading from the scriptures.
Okay, cool.
Let's see here. And Shephatiah, son of Matan, and Gedoyahu, son of Pashur, and Yokel, son of Shemayahu, Pashur, son of Melchiah, heard the words which Yirmiyahu had spoken to all the people, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, he who remains in the city shall die by the sword, by scarcity of food, by pestilence, but whoever goes over to the Kasdim shall live, and his life shall be a prize to him, and he shall live. Thus saith Yahuwah, this city is certainly given into the hand of the sovereign of Babel's army, and he shall take it. Then the head said to the sovereign, Please let this man be put to death, because he is weakening the hands of the men of battle who are left in this city, and the hands of all the people by speaking such words to them. For this man does not seek the peace of this people, but the evil. And Sidkiyahu, the sovereign, said, Look, he is in your hand, for the sovereign is unable to do any matter against you. And they took Yirmiyahu and threw him into the dungeon, and Melchiyahu, the sovereign's son, which was in the courts of the guard, and they let Yirmiyahu down with ropes. And in the dungeon there was no water but mud, so Yirmiyahu sank in the mud. And Ebed-Melech the Cushite, one of the eunuchs, who was in the sovereign's house, heard that they had put Yirmiyahu in the dungeon, and the sovereign was sitting at the gate of Benjamin. And Ebed-Melech came from the sovereign's house and spoke to the sovereign, saying, My master the sovereign, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Yirmiyahu the prophet, whom they have thrown into the dungeon, and he is likely to die from hunger in the place where he is. For there is no more bread in the city. And the sovereign commanded Ebed-Melech the Cushite, saying, Take 30 men from here with you, and lift Yirmiyahu the prophet out of the dungeon before he dies. So Ebed-Melech took the men with him, and went into the house of the sovereign, under the treasury, and took old clothes and old rags from there, and let them down by ropes into the dungeon to Yirmiyahu. And Ebed-Melech the Cushite said to Yirmiyahu, Please put these old clothes and rags under your armpits, under the ropes. And Yirmiyahu did so. And they pulled Yirmiyahu up with the ropes and lifted him out of the dungeon, and Yirmiyahu remained in the court of the guard. Then Sidkiyahu the sovereign sent and had Yirmiyahu the prophet brought to him, and the third entrance of the house of Yahuwah, at the third entrance of the house of Yahuwah. And the sovereign said to Yirmiyahu, I am asking you a matter. Do not hide the matter from me. And Yirmiyahu said to Sidkiyahu, If I declare to you, shall you not put me to death? And if I give you advice, you shall not listen to me. But Sidkiyahu said, the sovereign swore secretly to Yirmiyahu, saying, As Yahuwah lives, who made us this life, I do not put you to death, nor do I give you into the hand of these men who seek your life. And Yirmiyahu said to Sidkiyahu, This said Yahuwah, the Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, if you do indeed surrender to the heads of the sovereigns of Babel, then your being shall live, and this city not be burned with fire, and you and your house shall live. But if you do not surrender to the heads of the sovereign of Babel, then this city shall be given into the hand of the Kasdim, and they shall burn it with fire, and you shall not escape from their hand. Then Sidkiyahu the sovereign said to Yirmiyahu, I am afraid of the Yahudim, who have gone over to the Kasdim, lest they give me into their hand and maltreat me. But Yirmiyahu said, They shall not hand you over. Please obey the voice of Yahuwah, which I speak to you, and let it be well with you, and your life be spared. But if you refuse to surrender, this is the word that Yahuwah has shown me. Then see, all the women who are left in the sovereign of Yahudah's house shall be surrendered to the heads of the sovereign of Babel, and see, they are saying, Your close friends have set upon you and prevailed against you. Your feet have sunk in the mire. They have turned away again, and they are going to surrender all your wives and children to the Kasdim, and you yourself shall not escape from their hand, but be taken by the hand of the sovereign of Babel, and this city shall be burned with fire. Then Sidkiyahu said to Yirmiyahu, Let no one know of these words, and you shall not die. But if the heads hear that I have spoken with you, and they come to you and say to you, declare to us now what you have said to the sovereign, and also what the sovereign said to you, do not hide it from us, and we will not put you to death. Then you shall say to them, I presented my petition before the sovereign not to send me back to the house of Jonathan to die there. And all the heads came to Yirmiyahu and asked him. And he informed them, according to all these words, that the sovereign had commanded. And they said no more to him, for the matter was not heard. So Yirmiyahu remained in the court of the guard until the day that Jerusalem was taken. And he was there when Jerusalem was taken. Chapter 39. In the 9th year of Sidkiyahu, sovereign of Yehuda, in the 10th new moon, Nebuchadrezzar, sovereign of Babel, and all his army came against Jerusalem and besieged it. In the 11th year of Sidkiyahu, in the 4th new moon, on the 9th day of the new month, the city was broken into. And all the heads of the sovereign of Babel came in and sat in the middle gate. Neral-Sharezer, Samgar-Nebo, Sarsakim, Rabsaris, Neral-Sharezer, Rabmag, and all the rest of the heads of the sovereign of Babel. And it came to be when Sidkiyahu, the sovereign of Yehuda, and all the men of Babel saw them, they fled and left the city by night, the way of the sovereign's garden, by the gate between the two walls, and he went out toward the desert plain. But the army of the Kasdim pursued them and overtook Sidkiyahu in the desert plains of Jericho, and they captured him and brought him up to Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, to Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he spoke judgment on him. And the sovereign of Babel slew the sons of Sidkiyahu before his eyes in Riblah. The sovereign of Babel also slew all the nobles of Yehuda. And he put out the eyes of Sidkiyahu and bound him with bronze shackles to bring him to Babel. And the Kasdim burned the house of the sovereign and the houses of the people with fire, and they broke down the walls of Jerusalem. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, exiled to Babel the remnant of the people who remained in the city and those who defected to him, with the rest of the people who were left. But Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, left in the land of Yehuda the poor people, who had not whatever, and gave them vineyards and fields on the same day. And Nebuchadrezzar, the king, the sovereign of Babel, gave a command concerning Yirmiyahu to Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, saying, take him and look after him, and do no harm whatsoever to him, but do to him even as he shall speak to you. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, and Nebuchadnezzar, the Rabsaris, Neral-Sharezer, the Rabmag, and all the sovereigns of Babel's chief officers sent, and had Yirmiyahu taken from the court of the guard, and gave him to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, to take him home. And he dwelt among the people. And the word of Jehoiakim had come to Yirmiyahu while he was shut up in the court of the guard, saying, go and you shall speak to Ebed-Melech the Cushite, saying, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, see, I am bringing my words upon the city for evil and not for good, and they shall be before you in that day, and I shall deliver you in that day, declares Yahuwah, so that you are not given into the hand of the men of whom you are afraid. For I shall rescue you, and you shall not fall by the sword, but your life shall be as a prize to you, for you have put your trust in me, declares Yahuwah. Chapter 40. The word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah after Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, had let him go from Ramah, when he had taken him bound in chains among all the exiles from Jerusalem and Yehuda, who were being exiled to Babel. And the chief of the guard took Yirmiyahu and said to him, Yahuwah your Elohim has spoken this evil on this place, and Yahuwah has brought it on and has done, and he has said, because you have sinned against Yahuwah and did not obey his voice, therefore this matter has come upon you. And now, see, I loosen you today from the chains that were on your hand. If it seem good to you to come with me to Babel, come, and I shall look after you. But if it seems wrong for you to come with me to Babel, remain here. See, all the land is before you. Go wherever it seems good and right for you to go. And before he replied, Nebuzaradan said, or go back to Gedaliah, son of Hakim, son of Shaphan, or son of Shaphan, whom the sovereign of Babel has made governor over the cities of Yehuda, and dwell with him among the people, or go wherever it seems right for you to go. And the chief of the guard gave him provisions and a gift and let him go. So Yirmiyahu went to Gedaliah, son of Hakim, to Mitzpah, and dwelt with him among the people who were left in the land. And all the commanders of the armies who were in the fields, they and their men, heard the sovereign of Babel had made Gedaliah, son of Hakim, governor of the land, and had put him in charge of the men and women, children, and the poor of the land who had not been exiled to Babel. So they came to Gedaliah at Mitzpah, Yishmael, the son of Netanyahu, and Yochanan, and Jonathan, the sons of Korah, or Koreach, there you go, a little bit difficult, and Sariah, the son of Tanchumah, and the sons of Ophi, the Netophathite, and Yezanyahu, the son of Maakathite, they and their men. Boy, we got to sound them out one at a time, man. Plus they got all the marks over them. And Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, swore to them and their men, saying, do not be afraid of serving the Kasdim. Dwell in the land and serve the sovereign of Babel, and it shall be well with you. And I am dwelling at Mizpah to serve the Kasdim who come to us. But you gather wine and summer fruit and oil, and put them in your vessels, and dwell in your cities which you have taken. Also, when all the Yahudim who were in Moab, and among the Ammonites, and in Edom, and who were in all the lands, heard that the sovereign of Babel had left a remnant of Yehuda, and that he had set over them Gedaliah, son of Hakim, or Ahikam, son of Shaphan, then all of the Yahudim returned from all the places where they had been driven, and came to the land of Yehuda, to Gedaliah at Mitzpah, and gathered wine and summer fruit in large quantities. And Yohanan, son of Koreach, and all the commanders of the army that were in the fields came to Gedaliah at Mitzpah. And they said to him, do you certainly know that Baalis, sovereign of the Ammonites, has sent Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, to strike you, a being? But Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, would not believe them. Then Yohanan, son of Koreach, spoke secretly to Gedaliah in Mitzpah, saying, wait a minute, hold on. Skip the page. Saying, please let me go and strike Yishmael, son of Netanyahu, without anyone knowing it. Why should he murder you? And so let all the Yahudim who are gathered to you be scattered, and the remnant of Yehuda perish. But Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, said to Yohanan, son of Kareach, do not do this matter, for what you are saying about Yishmael is not true. Chapter 41. And in the 7th new moon, it came to be that Yishmael, son of Netanyahu, son of Elishama, of the royal seed and of the officers of the sovereign, came with 10 men to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, at Mitzpah. There's a lot of names, but I'm sure that was only like 3 people. Hold on. Yishmael, son of Netanyahu, son of Elishama, and the men of Gedaliah. Okay, sorry about that. Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, and the 10 men who were with him arose and struck Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, with the sword, and killed him, whom the sovereign of Babel had made governor over the land. And Yishmael struck all the Yahudim who were with him, with Gedaliah at Mitzpah, and the Kasdim who were found there, the men of battle. And it came to be on the 2nd day after he had killed Gedaliah, when no one yet knew it, that men came from Shechem, from Shiloh, and from Shomron, 80 men with their beards shaved and their garments torn, having cut themselves with offerings and incense in their hand to bring them to the house of Yahuwah. And Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, went out from Mizpah to meet them, weeping as he walked along. And it came to be as he met them, and he said to them, Come to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. And it came to be, when they came inside the city, that Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, slew them, throwing them into a pit, and he and the men who were with him. But 10 men were found among them, who said to Ishmael, Do not kill us, for we have wheat and barley and oil and honey hidden in the field. So he held back and did not kill them among their brothers. And the pit into which Ishmael had thrown all the corpses of the men whom he had struck because of Gedaliah was the same one Asa the sovereign had made for fear of Baasha, sovereign of Israel. Ishmael, son of Netanyahu, had filled it with the slain. Then Ishmael took captive all the rest of the people who were in Mizpah, the sovereign's daughters, and all the people who were left in Mizpah, whom Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, had entrusted to Gedaliah, son of Ahikam. Yeah, it's a hard one. And Yishmael, son of Netanyahu, took them captive and went to go over to the Ammonites. But Yohanan, son of Koreah, and all the commanders of the army that were with him heard of all the evil that Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, had done. So they had took all the men and went to fight with Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, and they found him by the great pool that is in Gibeon. And it came to be, when all the people who were with Yishmael saw Yohanan, son of Koreah, and all the commanders of the army who were with him, that they were glad. And all the people whom Yishmael had taken captive from Mizpah turned around and came back and went to Yohanan, son of Koreah. But Yishmael, the son of Nethaniah, escaped from Yohanan with 8 men and went to the Ammonites. Then Yohanan, son of Koreah, and all the commanders of the army that were with him took from Mizpah all the rest of the people whom had recovered from Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, after he had struck Gedaliah, son of what's that one every time? Ahikam, the mighty men of battle, and the women, and the children, and the eunuchs. It's funny. Whom he had brought back from Gibeon. And they set out and dwelt in the lodging place of Kinnom, which is near Bethlehem, to go to enter Mitzrayim. Because of the Kasdim, for they were afraid of them, because Yishmael, son of Nethaniah, had struck Gedaliah, son of Ahikam, whom the sovereign of Babel had made governor in the land. Boy, that was a mouthful. Okay. 43. No, I'm on 42. Sorry about that. Chapter 42. Then all the commanders of the army, and Yohanan, son of Koreah, and Yezaniah, son of Hoshea, and all the people, from the least to the greatest, came near, and said to Yirmiyahu the prophet, We beg you, let your petition be acceptable to you. Let our petition be acceptable to you, and pray for us to Yahuwah, your Elohim, for all this remnant, for we are few left of many, as your eyes see us. And let Yahuwah your Elohim show us the way in which we should walk, and the word we should do. And Yirmiyahu the prophet said to them, I have heard. See, I am praying to Yahuwah your Elohim according to your words, and it shall be that I declare to you all the words Yahuwah answers you. I withhold not a word from you. And they said to Yirmiyahu, Let Yahuwah be a true and steadfast witness between us. If we do not do according to all the word which Yahuwah your Elohim sends us by you, whether good or evil, let us obey the voice of Yahuwah our Elohim, to whom we send you, in order that it might be well with us when we obey the voice of Yahuwah our Elohim. And after 10 days it came to be that the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu. So he called Yohanan, son of Koreah, and all the commanders of the army which were with him, and all the people, from the least even to the greatest, and said to them, Thus saith Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, to whom you sent me to present your petition before him. If you would indeed stay in this land, then I shall build you and not pull you down, and I shall plant you and not pluck you up. for I have relented of the evil I have done to you. Do not be afraid of the sovereign of Babel, of whom you are afraid. Do not be afraid of him, declares Yahuwah, for I am with you, to save you and deliver you from his hand. And I shall show you compassion, so that he has compassion on you, and let you return to your own land. But if you say, we are not staying in this land, and so disobey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim, saying, no, but we are going to the land of Mitzrayim, so that we see no fighting, nor hear the voice of a shofar, nor hunger for bread, and there we shall stay. Then hear the word of Yahuwah, O remnant of Yahudah. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, if you indeed set your faces to enter Mitzrayim, and shall go to sojourn there, then it shall be that the sword which you feared overtakes you there in the land of Mitzrayim. Well, that's important. And the scarcity of food of which you were afraid clings to you there in Mitzrayim, and you die there. And so it shall be with all the men who set their faces to go to Mitzrayim to sojourn there, that they shall die by the sword, by scarcity of food, by pestilence, and not one of them shall survive or escape from the evil that I am bringing upon them. For thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, as my displeasure and my wrath have been poured out on the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so shall my wrath be poured out on you when you enter Mitzrayim, and you shall be an oath and an astonishment, and a curse and a reproach, and you shall see this place no more. Yahuwah has spoken about you, O remnant of Yahudah. Do not go to Mitzrayim. Know for certain that I have warned you this day, for you deceived yourselves when you sent me to Yahuwah your Elohim, saying, pray for us to Yahuwah our Elohim, and according to all that Yahuwah our Elohim says, so declare to us, and we shall do it. So I have declared it to you today, but you have not obeyed the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim in all which he has sent me to you. And now know for certain that you shall die by the sword, by scarcity of food, by pestilence, in the place where you have desired to go to sojourn. Chapter 43. And it came to be when Yirmiyahu had ended speaking all these words to the people, all the words of Yahuwah their Elohim, for which Yahuwah their Elohim had sent him to them, that Azariah son of Hoshea, and Yohanan son of Kareah, and all the proud men spoke, saying to Yirmiyahu, you are speaking a lie. Yahuwah our Elohim has not sent you to say, do not go to Mitzrayim to sojourn there. For Baruch son of Neriah is moving you against us, to give us into the hand of the Kasdan, to put us to death or exile us into Babel. So Yohanan son of Kareah and all the commanders of the army and all the people disobeyed the voice of Yahuwah to stay in the land of Yahudah. And Yohanan son of Kareah and all the commanders of the army took all the remnant of Yahudah who had returned to sojourn in the land of Yahudah from all the nations where they had been driven to, and the men and the women and the children of the sovereigns of the daughters, and every being whom Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, had left with Jehoiakim, son of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, and Yirmiyahu the prophet, and Baruch, son of Neriyahu. So they went to the land of Mitzrayim, for they disobeyed the voice of Yahuwah, and they went as far as, Taphanes? Man, that's a hard one. I don't know. And the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu of Taphanes, saying, take the large stones in your hand, and you shall hide them before the eyes of the men of Yahudah, in the clay in the brick courtyard, which is at the entrance to Pharaoh's house in Taphanes. Then you shall say to them, thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, see, I am sending you, and I shall bring Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, my servant, and I shall set his throne above these stones that I have hidden, and he shall spread his canopy over them, and he shall come and strike the land of Mitzrayim, bringing death to those who are appointed for death, and captivity to those appointed for captivity, and the sword to those appointed for the sword. And he shall set fire to the houses of the mighty ones of Mitzrayim, and he shall burn them and take them captive, and he shall cover himself with the land of Mitzrayim, as a shepherd puts on his garment. He shall go out from there in peace, and he shall break the stone pillars of the house of the sun, which are in the land of Mitzrayim. And he shall burn the houses of the mighty ones of the Mitzrites with fire. Boom. That was pretty interesting, man, how he told them not to go back to Egypt to escape what was coming on the land, right? And we have so many brothers and sisters right now who think that Yahuwah's judgment can be escaped by just changing geographies. And they're not doing too terribly much to like prepare themselves inwardly, you know? And they think that their salvation will be in their prepping. And that'll get you anywhere. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter where you are, he'll get you.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. Yeah, exactly. The funny thing is that he warned them in his Torah not to do this. He said, don't go back to Egypt. Don't do it. And it's even in the Torah for the king. You shall not bring my people back to Egypt. And so they're fleeing Babylon. The funny thing is Yahuwah is actually saying, if you obey me and go into Babylon, you will live. I don't know if it's in this chapter, if it was in previous chapters in Jeremiah we've read already, but he actually gives them an ultimatum. He says, you allow Nebuchadnezzar to take you to Babylon. You're going to live. You're going to be fine. You know, you'll be fine. You'll be safe. I'll actually, you know, protect you in Babylon. But they decide, no, we're going to go to Egypt. We want to go to Egypt because we want to keep living wicked. And then we're going to see later on, what I find interesting that you just read, Brother Jeff, chronologically, this is around the same time as Ezekiel chapter 29. And Ezekiel, well, actually, I would say Ezekiel 29 is kind of like a sequel to this chapter because they're already in Egypt and Yahuwah's mad at Pharaoh for protecting them from him. And he actually calls Pharaoh, basically he's talking through to Pharaoh and talking to the principality that's behind this Pharaoh Necho of Egypt at this point in time. And he says, you know, the word of Yahuwah came to me saying, Ezekiel 29, verse 1, Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him and against all of Egypt, and say, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I am against you, O Pharaoh, the great dragon that lies in the midst of his rivers, that says the rivers are mine and I made them. I will put hooks in your jaws. I will cause fish of your river to stick to your sides. I will bring you up out of the midst of your river. So this is the same context of what Brother Jeff just read. This is the same time period. Basically, they go to Egypt. They actually trust in this Pharaoh Necho, basically, historically speaking. And they think Yahuwah is not going to, you know, get them. You know, and basically Yahuwah in Ezekiel 29 is trying to get his point through to this Pharaoh Necho. You can't deliver my people from my hand. Who the heck do you think you are? You're not going to take my people from me. I'm going to punish my people. You ain't going to stop that. And so basically they're falsely trusting in Egypt. And there's actually a prophecy where Yahuwah rebukes his people. He says, you falsely trusted in man. You falsely trusted in the Assyrians and in the Egyptians instead of me. So yeah, it's about to get rough for a lot of the house, southern house here. A lot of them didn't even go into Babylon. They didn't want to go into Babylon, so they went to Egypt, and you know they figured, oh, we'll flee the judgment and go to Egypt. No, that's not going to work. Then it's worse off for them because the ultimatum was, you go to Egypt, you die. So
even worse than that, you're in just a couple of chapters later in Yirmiyahu 44:26, where he removes the father's name from them because of what they did. They went ahead and did it anyway.
Yep. So what most people don't realize, everyone thinks all of Judah, all of the southern house came back to the land after the captivity, but a lot of them died in Egypt. A lot of them fled to Egypt and got killed. So realistically, it was really a remnant that was coming back from Babylon. And it was a remnant of the southern house that was coming back. Those that would have been obedient, like Daniel, that allowed himself to be taken captive. Those Judeans. What I found interesting too, Brother Dennis, and you'll find this interesting, they're not called Jews in the Septuagint in these chapters. The translator actually used the word Judean instead of Jew. I found that interesting because usually at this point in time in the prophets and then later on in the New Testament, you'll see JEW being used.
Right.
And the Lexham English Septuagint translator actually used Judean instead of Jew. So I got to give him credit for that. Whoever did the translation. So I'll give them credit. That's the same term that's used for the tribe of Yehuda actually in the Aramaic New Testament. Yahusha is actually called the king of the Judeans in the Aramaic New Testament. So that's actually a correct modern English translation of Yehuda or Yahudim is Judean. Judean's like a modern English rendition of that word. So Jewish or Jew is actually an incorrect term, but that's a whole nother topic, another day. That's a stupid term that was invented in the 1600s. But anyway, I thought it was very interesting. So we're seeing what Brother Jeff just read. We're seeing a continual theme here with Jeremiah, and I found it interesting. I wanted to mention earlier Baruch. It's showing multiple times in this portion so far from Jeremiah that Baruch was his scribe. So I find that interesting now looking back at the book of Jeremiah and the book of Lamentations and all that. His traditionally they ascribe it to actually Jeremiah, but I would say if Baruch is his scribe, then technically Baruch probably wrote Lamentations in the book of Jeremiah. So that would make sense to me. And it's kind of interesting. We don't know much about this Baruch son of Neriah other than the fact that he was a scribe for Jeremiah and he's mentioned in the book of Jeremiah. Supposedly in the original King James, he had his own book. There was a book of Baruch actually in the original King James Apocrypha. So this guy, the son of Neriah, is basically a scribe for him. He's writing this scroll that got burned in the days of Jeremiah. So some interesting stuff here. I find it interesting, though, like the point Brother Jeff made, how a lot of our brothers and sisters think changing our geographical location is gonna somehow make us safer. Even in prophecy, we could, on a whole nother topic, if we go into prophecy, end times prophecy, Yahusha doesn't say, oh, if you go there that you're going to be saved just because you're in another location and that you're not going to be taken and put in jail. He says you're going to be in jail. So he's not giving us a way out by just going somewhere else. So faith
in his words. You got to have faith in his words that he'll protect you when he gathers you. You know what I mean? That it just shows like a more faith in yourself when you start all the I'm going to move to this country or that country to escape what's coming. It just shows more faith in yourself than his ability to protect you, like Daniel, right in the middle of the lion's den.
Yeah, and I think what it is, in my opinion, I could be wrong, it's a misinterpretation of Revelations 18. And I remember me and Joshua, we were talking about this off the record last night on Sabbath evening, and he was just asking me my take. And I was like, I really don't believe Revelations 18 is right now. I don't believe it's right now. I don't believe the context of it is that you're supposed to leave as soon as Yahuwah is spiritually calling you out of Babylon, that you're supposed to physically leave. And I explained to him, when we were having this conversation, my point of view on it is that prophecy is not yet. It's not even yet. That whole context of that chapter is the destruction of Babylon. That hasn't happened yet. So I think a lot of the brethren are misunderstanding the context of Revelations 18:4. They're misunderstanding the time period when that happens and when he wants us to physically move. And I don't believe that's yet. From what I've studied in end times prophecy and matching different books together, like Isaiah with Revelations 18 to me is pretty obvious that it parallels Isaiah 13 with the destruction of Babylon. So that hasn't happened yet. And in my opinion, I believe it's talking about physical Babylon. In my opinion, I believe it's actually talking about Iraq. I don't believe it's talking about a spiritual Babylon wherever you are in the world to flee. That's just my opinion. I think it's actually talking about a real geographical place in that chapter, because there's other places like Jeremiah that talk about no Arabian shall dwell there, and it's talking about like a physical Babylon. And so that's just my opinion on it. I think we've tend to take scriptures like Revelations 18 out of context and out of chronological order and not understanding when that's supposed to happen. So that's just my opinion on it. I think it's important to look at the context of that whole chapter and when that's supposed to happen. And in my opinion, we got a ways off before that's happening. So, you have to have the tribulation first before the destruction of Babylon. So anyway, so that's just my point of view on it. I could be wrong, but that's just my feeling on it, is that it's a ways.
Verse 8 says it's all coming in one day. It says, verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. It's a place that's being destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I believe it's physical Babylon is talking about. That's why I believe something, I don't know how it's going to happen, something with Iraq. Somehow modern day Babylon is going to rise up again. Somehow that's going to happen. Because historically, geographically, we know that what was called the land of Babel, Shinar, became what we know today as Iraq. It's like a historical fact. So we know there is a physical Babylon. And I think a lot of people are focusing on the spiritual Babylon and mystery Babylon and all that. That's all great. But I look at Revelations 18 and the verse you point out, that's all physical to me. That's a geographical location being destroyed, an isolated geographical location being destroyed. So,
but it's also being destroyed with famine and death. That physical hunger and physical death.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect point. Yeah. So that would be like basically real famine, physical death. All that is literal and physical. So I think it's important that I understand we get tempted to spiritualize things, but certain things in prophecy we can't use as an allegory or spiritualize. I think it's very important to heed Peter's warning. There is no private interpretation of prophecy. So it's very important to remember that when we're looking at Revelations, looking at Isaiah, Jeremiah, what it says is what it says. So to Brother Jeff's point, that all looks physical to me. I think we're on the same wavelength there. So,
another thing is if it's spiritual Babylon, how does one come out of it? Other than what we have done, other than the steps we've taken to renounce our old ways, you know what I mean, and turn and walk in a different direction. If that is all of the false religions of the world that compromise all of the false worship in every culture, where can you go? How do you, quote unquote, come out of her? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're, what does that entail? What does that mean?
Yeah, I agree 110%. There's certain scriptures that you just have to take literally because there's no other way to interpret that. And me personally, when this time comes, I also don't believe it's a whisper. I know some people interpret the voice from heaven being like a little nudge from the Father. I completely disagree. I take that literally. When it says a strong voice from heaven, that means you're going to physically hear it. You're going to physically hear it. It's going to be loud. It's not going to be like a little subtle conviction. No, it's going to be loud, like, get out of her now.
It's not going to be anything
so I look at that even as literal and physical. I know some people look at that as more of a thing like where you're convicted to move, and I just don't. I look at it as that's literal, because most translations will literally say a strong voice from heaven. That seems pretty literal to me. It's almost like if you could imagine Yahuwah's voice being like someone with a megaphone at that moment, being like, "Get out of her." It's not going to be a guessing game. Trust me. When it happens, everyone's going to hear it.
He's going to leave you hanging. I'm of the firm belief that if you're in danger and judgment is coming and you're not to be judged, there's no way he's going to let you sit around and be judged with everybody. That would be a mistake, serving judgment on you with them just because you're there. Like, I'm sure it'll become clear, like every other time he speaks to you, it'll become clear, you know what I mean, on what you need to do when. I don't think any of it's going to be left up to guessing for the people who are meant to not be caught up in it.
Yeah, I think that's why the first fruits are being judged now.
Yeah, I believe that spiritually he's getting us out of Babylon right now, and that's our job right now, is to spiritually come out of it, and later on physically when it's time for Revelations 18 to happen, that's when physically it's going to happen. That's my point of view on it. I believe he's getting us spiritually ready right now, because if we're not spiritually ready, those that hear a physical voice of his are not going to even, those that are not spiritually ready are just going to be tone deaf. They're not going to want to leave. There's going to be people that even hear that loud voice and they're like, no, I'm staying where I am. I like this. I like this place.
Well, maybe they'll send messengers or angels like they did for Lot. Hey, you got to get out of here. Come on.
And look how many people wanted to leave there, Brother Dennis. Even his wife didn't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
His wife turned back.
Yeah.
His wife turned back. He's like, oh, I miss this place. Boom.
Became a preservative.
Salt. Yeah. Became a pillar of salt.
Like, bam. So yeah, I think right now, that's why people always ask me, like, what are we supposed to do with coming out? Well, there's always a spiritual implication and then a physical implication. Mm-hmm. The spirit realm is tied to the physical realm. So I believe Yahuwah's will right now is for us to spiritually get ready, and then when the time's right and when Revelations 18 is ready to be fulfilled, when it's at that time, chronologically and all that, and it's after the tribulation and it's time for the destruction of Babylon, then he'll physically call us out. But until that point, you're gonna there's events that have to happen first. Number one, prophetically. Mm-hmm. You can't have this happen before the tribulation or even before the covenant that the anti-Messiah is going to make in Daniel 9:27. All that has to happen before Revelations 18. We have to realize that. We have to take stuff in context and look at when is this stuff happening. What is the theme of this whole chapter? The fall of Babylon. That we're way far away off from that. So we got to keep in mind what the context of Revelations 18 is talking about to understand when it's going to happen. And this is talking about, the plagues. This is, I look at this and I can't help to think of the bowls of wrath and all that. Mm-hmm. So, again, like in verse 6 here, it talks about he gives her the cup, a double portion that's mixed for her, so this is talking about, in context, this would be when Babylon's sins have reached the heavens. Mm-hmm. This would be the judgment of Babylon, which, like, I truly believe we are far way off from that. There's certain things that have to happen first. There has to be the abomination desolation. There has to be the covenant that before that, there has to be the covenant that's made for 7 years that he breaks halfway through the 7 years. All that has to happen before the fall of Babylon. So I think it's important too to keep that in context. Certain things prophetically have to happen before one another. It's like a domino effect. You can't have the later domino before the earlier domino, if that makes any sense. So I think it's important to keep that in context. So anyway, moving on here. I think
Doug?
Yep.
even if you die, even if you got caught up in all this and you got left behind and this, that, and even if you died in a plague, that doesn't mean you're going to miss out on that second resurrection. Worse comes to worse, and you lose this physical life, there is an eternal promise for you on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I believe those that will be destroyed in this plague are not going to be believers that are led by His Spirit. I believe those that will be destroyed in the Revelations 18 thing will actually be people that don't want to leave. They willfully just want to stay. And
those that take the mark, right?
well, yeah, Mom, they would be appointed to the wrath, though. We're not appointed to wrath, but the wicked are. And you can go through the New Testament on that concept. Paul talks about Yahushua's sacrifice saved us from the wrath of the Father and all that. Well, the wicked who don't want the Father, don't want the Son, are appointed to that wrath. They're appointed to that. That's why I like what Rob Skiba says. Yeah, you still want to stay in Christmas and Easter and all that. By the time Revelations 18 physically happens, you will be caught in those plagues that are not meant for you. Because you don't want to come out, you want to stay in that. You know, it's a choice. It's a choice. You can either, get spiritually ready now so that when it's physically about to happen, you're ready for His call, or you're just going to stay in Babylon and, spiritually and physically, and you're going to be part of those plagues that are not meant for you. And that's really the choice. That's the free will we have. We can choose. So I personally believe no genuine believer is going to be hit in those plagues. That's my opinion. I believe Yahuwah is going to keep us protected through the tribulation, and even any believers that are on the earth during those plagues, He'll protect. Because it even says in Isaiah, it says, go into your barns or go into your rooms while my indignation passes. So even believers that would be on the earth at that point, Yahuwah probably has a room, closet, ark for them to be in while He destroys the wicked. So that's kind of my point of view on it. I believe either way, Yahuwah is going to protect us and we're going to be safe. I think there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to be afraid about. But that's just my opinion on it. Let's see here. So I'm going to be doing for us now to get back to the Jeremiah topic here. So we're going to be going to 44 to 47. I'll be reading from my Septuagint here to make it easy on myself. The Complete Apostles Bible, they fixed the chapter numberings, so it's like catering to the Masoretic ordering here. Here we go. Chapter 44, Judgment for Idolatry. Speaking of judgment, the word that came to Yirmiyahu for all the Judeans dwelling in the land of Egypt, and for those settled in Migdol and Taphanes, and in the land of Pathura, saying, thus says Yahuwah Elohim of Yashar'al, you have seen all the evils which I have brought upon Jerusalem and upon the cities of Yehuda. Behold, they are desolate without inhabitants, because of their wickedness which they have done to provoke me, by going to burn incense to other mighty ones whom you knew not. Yet I sent to you my servants, the prophets, early in the morning, and I sent, saying, do not do this abominable thing which I hate. But they hearkened not unto me, and inclined not their ear to turn from their wickedness, so as not to burn incense to strange mighty ones. So my anger and my wrath fell upon them, and was kindled in the gates of Yehuda and in the gates of Jerusalem, and they became desolation and a waste as it is this day. And now thus says Yahuwah Almighty, why do you commit these great evils against your souls, to cut off man and woman from you, infant and suckling, from the midst of Yehuda, to the end that not one of you should be left, by provoking me with the works of your hands to burn incense to other mighty ones in the land of Egypt, into which you entered to dwell there, that you might be cut off, and that you might become a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth. Have you forgotten the sins of your fathers, and the sins of the kings of Yehuda, and the sins of your princes, and the sins of your wives, which they did in the land of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem? And have not ceased even to this day, and they have not kept my ordinances, which I set before their fathers. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I set my face against you to destroy all the remnant that are in Egypt. Woo, this is getting controversial here. Destroy all the remnant that are in Egypt. So there's not even going to be a remnant left from those that went to Egypt. And they shall fall by the sword and by famine, and shall be consumed, small and great. They shall be for a reproach and for destruction, for a curse. And I will visit them that dwell in the land of Egypt, as I have visited Jerusalem, with sword and with famine. And there shall not one be preserved for the remnant of Yehuda that sojourn in the land of Egypt, to return to the land of Yehuda, to which they trust in their hearts to return. They shall not return but only they that escape. Interesting. Then all the men that knew that their wives burned incense, and all the women a great multitude, and all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt in Pathros, answering Yirmiyahu, said, as for the word which you have spoken to us in the name of Yahuwah, we will not listen to you. Here we go, people that want to stay in Egypt, stay in Babylon. For we will surely perform every word that proceeds out of our mouth. Oh boy, it's going to get worse. To burn incense to who? The Queen of Heaven, Diana of the Ephesians, and to pour drink offerings to her, as we and our fathers have done, and our kings and princes in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem. And so we were filled with bread, and we were well and saw no evils. And since we left to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, we have all been brought low and have been consumed by sword and by famine. When we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured drink offerings to her, and we make cakes to her and pour drink offerings to her without our husbands? Then Yirmiyahu answered all the people, the mighty men and the women, and all the people that returned him these words for an answer, saying, did not Yahuwah remember the incense which you burned in the cities of Yehuda and the streets of Jerusalem? You and your fathers and your kings and your princes and the people of the land, did it not enter into his heart? And Yahuwah could no longer bear you because of the wickedness of your doings and because of your abominations, which you worked. And so your land became a desolation and a waste and a curse, as it is this day. Because of your burning incense and because of the things in which you sinned against Yahuwah, and you have not hearkened to the voice of Yahuwah, and have not walked in his ordinances and in his law and in his witnesses, so these evils have come upon you. And Yirmiyahu said to the people and to the women, hear the word of Yahuwah. Thus says Yahuwah, Elohim of Yasharal, you women have spoken with your mouth, you have fulfilled it with your hands, saying, we will surely perform our vows that we have vowed, to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, to pour drink offerings to her. Full well did you keep your vows, and you have indeed performed them. Therefore, hear the word of Yahuwah, all you Judeans dwelling in the land of Egypt. Behold, I have sworn by my great name, says Yahuwah, my name shall no longer be in the mouth of every Judean to say, Yahuwah lives in all the land of Egypt. Ooh, oh boy. For I have watched over them to hurt them and not to do them tob. And all the Judeans dwelling in the land of Egypt shall perish by sword and by famine until they are utterly consumed. And they that escape the sword shall return to the land of Judah or Yehuda, few in number, and the remnant of Yehuda who have continued in the land of Egypt to dwell there shall know whose word shall stand, and this shall be a sign to you that I will visit you for evil. Thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will give Hoprah. Oh, interesting. So it's a different king. Interesting. Hoprah, king of Egypt, into the hands of his enemy and into the hands of one that seeks his life. As I gave Zedekiah, king of Yehuda, into the hands of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, his enemy who sought his life. Okay, so that was chapter 44. Now we're going to go to chapter 45. All right, so message to Baruch. The word which Yirmiyahu the prophet spoke to Baruch, son of Neriah, when he wrote these words in the book by the mouth of Yirmiyahu, the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Yoshiyahu, king of Yehuda. Thus says Yahuwah to you, O Baruch, seeing that you have said, Alas, alas, for Yahuwah has laid a grievous trouble upon me. I lay down in groaning, and I find no rest. Thus you shall say to him, Thus says Yahuwah, behold, I pull down those whom I have built up, and I pluck up those whom I have planted. And I will, and will you seek great things for yourself? Seek them not. For behold, I bring evil upon all flesh, says Yahuwah, but I will give you your life for a prize in every place that you go. Pretty short chapter there. All right, 46. Judgment on Egypt. In the beginning of the reign of King Zedekiah, there came this word concerning the nations. For Egypt, now, wow, that's interesting. Now it goes from Hoprah to Nico. That's interesting. Okay, so technically, this would be in the Ezekiel 29 time period, pretty much. That's interesting. In the beginning of the reign of King Zedekiah, there came this word concerning the nations. For Egypt, against the power of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt, who was by the river Euphrates in Carchemish, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, struck in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, king of Yehuda. I'm going to make a little note of that. So Ezekiel 29 parallels Jeremiah 46. Just want to make a little note of that. All right, verse 3. Take up arms and spears and draw close to battle, and harness the horses. Mount, you horsemen, and stand ready in your helmets. Advance the spears and put on your breastplates. Why do they fear and turn back, even because their mighty men shall be slain? They have utterly fled, and being hemmed in, they have not rallied, says Yahuwah. Let not the swift flee, and let not the mighty man escape to the north. The forces at the Euphrates have become feeble, and they have fallen. Who is this that comes up as a river, and as rivers roll their waves? The waters of Egypt shall come up like a river. And he said, I will go up and will cover the earth and will destroy its inhabitants. Mount the horses, prepare the chariots, go forth, you warriors of Ethiopians and Libyans, armed with shields, and mount, you Libyans, bend the bow. And that day shall be to Yahuwah our Elohim a day of vengeance. Okay, now we're getting some context here. Okay, what's the day of his vengeance? The day of Yahuwah. Okay. Take vengeance on his enemies, and the sword of Yahuwah shall devour. They might as well just say Yahusha shall devour. And be glutted and be drunken with their blood, for Yahuwah has a sacrifice from the land of the north at the river Euphrates. Go up to Gilead and take balm for the virgin daughter of Egypt. In vain have you multiplied your medicines. Wow, it's almost like Yahuwah's connecting Egypt to Babylon here, the virgin daughter of Egypt. If you go later on in the book of Jeremiah, he mentions this daughter of Babylon, the virgin daughter of Babylon. So it's kind of interesting. So it says, go up to Gilead, take balm for the virgin daughter of Egypt. In vain have you multiplied your medicines, sorceries. Okay. Pharmakeia. There is no help for you. the nations, and I'm going to put a little note of that because after I read these chapters, I want to go to Revelations for that cross reference. All right, here we go. There is no help for you. The nations have heard your voice. The land has been filled with your cry, for the warriors have fainted, fighting one against another, and both have fallen together. The words which Yahuwah spoke by Yirmiyahu concerning the coming of the king of Babylon to strike the land of Egypt. Proclaim it at Migdol and declare it at Memphis. Say, stand up and prepare, for the sword has devoured your yew tree. I guess a baby tree. Why has Apis fled from you? Your choice calf has not remained, for Yahuwah has utterly weakened him. And your multitude has fainted and fallen, and each one has said to his neighbor, let us arise and return into our country, to our people, from the Grecian sword. Interesting, the Grecian sword, the Greeks. That's interesting. Call on the name of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt. He has passed the appointed time. Interesting. As I live, says Yahuwah Elohim, he shall come surely as Tabor is among the mountains, and as Carmel that is on the sea. O daughter of Egypt, dwelling at home, prepare for yourself stuff for removing. For Memphis shall be utterly desolate and shall be called woe, because there are no inhabitants in it. Interesting. Egypt is a fair heifer, but destruction from the north has come upon her. Also, her hired soldiers in the midst of her are as fatted calves fed in her. For they also have turned and fled with one accord. They stood not, for the day of destruction had come upon them, and the time of their retribution. Their voice is that of hissing serpent. Interesting. For they go upon the sand, they shall come upon Egypt with axes as men that cut wood. Interesting. They shall cut down her forests, says Yahuwah, for their number cannot at all be determined, for it exceeds the locust in multitude. Interesting. And they are innumerable. The daughter of Egypt is confounded. She is delivered into the hands of a people from the north. Behold, I will avenge Ammon, her son, upon Pharaoh and upon them that trust in him. Okay, there's verse 26 is omitted there. But fear not, my servant Jacob, neither be alarmed, Yasharal, for behold, I will save you from afar and your seed from their captivity. And Jacob shall return and be at ease and sleep, and there shall be no one to trouble him. Fear not, my servant Jacob, says Yahuwah, for I am with you. She that was without fear and in luxury has been delivered up, for I will make a full end of every nation among whom I have thrust you forth, but I will not cause you to fail. Yet will I chastise you in the way of right ruling, and will not hold you entirely guiltless. Okay. Here we go, chapter 47. All right, let's see here. Judgment on the Philistines. Thus says Yahuwah against the Philistines, behold, waters come up from the north, and shall become a sweeping torrent, and it shall sweep away the land and its fullness, the city and them that dwell in it. Let me just make a little note here. Yahuwah's reminding me of another prophet that talks about judgment of the Philistines. So, let's see here. I think it's Isaiah 13. Okay. Behold, waters come up from the north and shall be a sweeping torrent. It shall sweep away the land and its fullness, the city and them that dwell in it. And men shall cry, and all that dwell in the land shall howl. At the sound of his rushing, at the sound of his hoofs, at the rattling of his chariots, at the noise of his wheels, the fathers turn not to their children because of the weakness of their hands. in the day that is coming to destroy all the Philistines, and I will utterly destroy Tyre and Sidon and the rest of their allies. Okay, so another connection here. Put Ezekiel 28. Okay. Sidon and Tyre. And the rest of their armies, for Yahuwah will destroy the remaining inhabitants of the islands. Baldness has come upon Gaza. Ashkelon is cast away, and the remnant of is that Anakim? Possibly. Even though the Ezer is probably Anakim. Yeah. How long will you smite, O sword of Yahuwah? How long will it be till you are quiet? Return into your sheath, rest and be removed. Interesting. How shall it be quiet, seeing Yahuwah has given it a commission against Ashkelon and against the regions on the sea coast to awake against the remaining countries? Wow. So that's the end of our Jeremiah portion today. I do have some cross references I would like to get to, especially in the last chapter. I found it interesting they mentioned Tyre, judgment upon Tyre and Sidon, and I wonder if it has any inclination. Maybe the cause of this effect might be Ezekiel 28. Just a thought. And the power behind this king of Tyre is obviously Satan. So, I just find it interesting that it talks about in Jeremiah 47, which I just read, talks about destruction coming to Tyre and Sidon. And we know Ezekiel 29 is paralleling with Jeremiah 46, which I also read. So I wonder if 28 and 47 of Jeremiah are linked up there with the same time period. Just a thought. So Ezekiel 28 and Jeremiah 47 there. So also, I noticed it talked about the destruction of the Philistines, and I find it interesting because there's multiple places in prophecy that it talks about this. And Isaiah 13, I think, is one of them. Or Isaiah 13, actually, let me see here. I think it has a different context here. Oh, no, I'm thinking of Isaiah 14. Yeah. Isaiah 14, where towards the end it talks about as a garment defiled with blood for your children. I will make the region of Babylon desert, so the hedgehog shall dwell there, and it shall come to nothing. I will make it a pit of clay for destruction. Then it talks about the word concerning Assyria, judgment on Assyria. Here we go, an oracle concerning Philistia, the Philistines. In the year which Ahaz died, this word came. Rejoice not, all you Philistines, because the yoke of him that smote you is broken. For out of the seed of the serpent shall forth young asps, and their young shall be forth flying serpents, which the Hebrew of that would be saraph or seraphim. And the poor shall be fed by him, and the men shall rest in peace, and he shall destroy your seed, talking about the seed of the Philistines, with hunger, and shall destroy your remnant. So I just find it interesting because Isaiah 14, 29 to 30 seems to be talking about the same type of judgment that Yahuwah references of the Philistines in Jeremiah 47. So that was Isaiah 14, 30 to 31, if I'm not mistaken, or actually 29 to 30. So anyway. So I just wanted to mention that, and I think I also had a note from chapter 46 of Jeremiah. Let me see here. I think it's verse 11. Yeah, the virgin daughter of Egypt. So the virgin daughter of Egypt here. Oh, hold on. I was on the Complete Apostles Bible. That's right. Yeah, so virgin daughter of Egypt reminded me of the virgin daughter of Babylon. Let me see if I can find that verse real quick. Let me just go to virgin daughter of Babylon. I know one of the chapters it references this is Jeremiah 51, I think. Okay, actually Isaiah. Okay. Isaiah 47 verse 1 is the reference here for Jeremiah 46:11. So we're going to go to Isaiah 47 verse 1. Come down and sit on the ground, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no more be called tender and luxurious. So it's very similar. It's like a very similar parallel. And I don't know, maybe it's the same spirit that's controlling those kingdoms in different times. And I'll be honest, I don't know offhand chronologically when Isaiah is prophetically, if the book of Isaiah chronologically would have been written before Ezekiel and Daniel. I really don't remember offhand. So
I know Daniel referenced to Jeremiah.
well, I'm talking about Isaiah though.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't know the chronological.
No, I was just my
order.
point was that I think that Jeremiah would probably be
Well, yeah, we know
closer.
we know Jeremiah is right before Daniel and Ezekiel's around the time of Daniel, but the question is, where is Isaiah?
Right.
That I don't know. I don't know if that was during the Syrian captivity when Isaiah was being written, or if it was the Judean captivity, the house of Judah in Babylon. So I don't know for sure. I don't want to misspeak. So, but I do find it interesting. There seems to be a parallel between Egypt and Babylon, like the same type of spirit there in two different instances. That Yahuwah is rebuking both of them. So anyway, moving on. So we just did the Jeremiah portion. I think we're going to start a new live stream right now to finish up. We're going to be doing Song of Songs. Brother Dennis and Brother Jeff will be splitting up the book of Song of Songs, chapters 1 to 8. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back on. We'll be doing that book soon. And then my mom will finish us off with Romans 10 to 14. So